The moment I parked my brand-new Rolls-Royce Ghost in the driveway of my new home, I felt it, eyes on me. I hadn't even turned off the engine when I saw her in the rearview mirror. A middle-aged woman with a razor-sharp blonde bob and oversized designer sunglasses, marching across the cul-de-sac like a suburban stormtrooper on a mission. Her pastel cardigan flapped behind her as she power-walked straight toward my car, face twisted in what I could only describe as preemptive outrage. "Excuse me," she shouted, loud enough to pierce through the closed windows. "Who are you, and what are you doing with that vehicle?" I stepped out calmly, keys in hand. "Hi there, I'm Jason. Just moved in, 1542 Oakwood Drive." She looked me up and down with open skepticism. Her gaze lingered on my jeans and button-up shirt, clearly failing to reconcile my casual attire with the luxury car in the driveway. "That's impossible," she snapped, folding her arms. "The Millers sold to a young professional. You're barely out of high school." "I'm 21, actually," I replied with a polite smile. "And yes, I bought the Miller place last month. The sale just closed." Her eyes narrowed. She began circling my car like a shark sniffing blood. "Nobody your age can afford this unless they've stolen it. I'm calling the police. We don't tolerate criminals in Oakwood Estates." Before I could say another word, she whipped out her phone and dialed 911 with theatrical flair, maintaining hard eye contact like I might bolt at any second. I leaned casually against the car, unbothered. This was my first time being underestimated. When you're a young tech entrepreneur who just sold his startup for 8 figures, you get used to people assuming you don't belong. "Yes, officer," she was saying into the phone, pitching her voice so the entire neighborhood could hear. "There's a suspicious young man at 1542 Oakwood Drive, driving a Rolls-Royce. I believe this is a grand theft auto situation. Please hurry before he escapes." I sighed and pulled out my own phone, sending a quick text to my assistant. Looked like moving day was going to take longer than expected. When she hung up, she turned to me with a smug smile. "The police will be here any minute. I suggest you don't try to leave." "I'm not going anywhere," I replied. "This is my house, my car, but I don't think you told me your name." "Karen Wellington," she said proudly, "president of the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association. 6 consecutive terms. And you definitely don't look like a homeowner in our community." Of course her name was Karen. The universe apparently had a sense of irony. "Well, Karen, I can assure you I'm the legal owner of both this property and this car," I said, pulling out my wallet. "Would you like to see my ID? I've also got digital copies of the deed." She waved away my ID like it was some child's plaything. "I've seen plenty of fake licenses. The HOA has a rigorous approval process for new residents, and I don't recall approving anyone who looks like you." The way she said, "looks like you," made my stomach turn. It wasn't just my age she was talking about. Her eyes flicked to my brown skin, and the hostility behind her scrutiny was suddenly crystal clear. I took a breath. Her prejudice wasn't my problem. That's not how real estate works. I explained, still calm. The previous owners accepted my offer. The sale was legal and finalized. HOA approval isn't required. Karen's face flushed a shade of red that almost matched her manicured nails. "We'll see about that. And we'll certainly see about that car. Number 21-year-old has that kind of money unless they're involved in something shady. Did you hack someone's bank account? Is this money laundering?" She circled my car again, snapping photos from every angle. Plates, VIN, even the hood ornament, while more neighbors emerged from their homes, drawn by the commotion. She seemed to feed off the attention. "I've seen scams like this before," she shouted, clearly playing to the audience. "They roll in with luxury cars and designer clothes. Then next thing you know, we got drug deals on every corner. Not in my neighborhood." Without reacting, I opened the glove box and pulled out the car's registration and insurance documents. If she wanted receipts, I had plenty. "Karen," I said evenly, holding out the paperwork, "I'm a tech entrepreneur. My company was acquired last year. This car was legally purchased from Beverly Hills Auto Gallery 3 months ago. Here's the registration to prove it." She squinted at the documents but didn't take them. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Anyone can forge papers these days. My nephew works in cybersecurity. He tells me all about the tricks criminals use. I'm not falling for it. Just then, the quiet hum of 2 police cruisers filled the cul-de-sac. They turned in and parked with practiced precision, their presence drawing more eyes from neighboring homes. Karen's expression shifted instantly from aggressive to smug, straightening her cardigan. She adopted the kind of posture you'd expect from someone pretending to be the victim of a heist, not the instigator of a racial profiling incident. "Officers!" she called out, hurrying toward them. "Thank goodness you're here. I caught this young man red-handed trying to claim a stolen luxury car and house. I'm the HOA president, and I know all the legitimate residents in this community." 2 officers stepped out, one older with a salt and pepper mustache, the other younger and clean-shaven. They approached cautiously. The senior officer addressed me first. "Sir, we received a report about a possible stolen vehicle. May I see your license and registration?" "Of course, officer," I replied, handing over the documents I had ready. "I'm Jason Chun. I just closed on this house last month and was moving in when this lady accused me of stealing my own car." The younger officer began reviewing my paperwork, while his partner kept a watchful eye on the unfolding scene. Karen hovered nearby, determined not to lose her spotlight. "He's obviously using fake identification," she insisted. "I've been president of this HOA for 6 years. I personally review all new homeowner applications, and this young man would never pass. And that car? A Rolls-Royce Ghost? That's a $300,000 vehicle. He looks like he barely graduated high school." The older officer arched an eyebrow at her, but kept his tone neutral. "Ma'am, please step back and allow us to do our job." Meanwhile, the younger officer had moved to the side, running my information through their system. After a moment, he returned and spoke quietly to his partner, but not so quietly that I couldn't hear. "Everything checks out. Vehicles registered to him, no flags. Insurance is current. House deed transfer was recorded last month with the county." Karen clearly overheard him, too, because her tone suddenly turned frantic. No, that can't be right. Check again. He must have hacked something. People like him don't drive cars like that." The silence that followed was sharp. The older officer turned to her slowly. "Ma'am," he said, his voice noticeably cooler. "What exactly do you mean by people like him?" She stammered. "I meant young people. 21-year-olds don't have Rolls-Royces unless something shady's going on. I'm just trying to protect our neighborhood, our property values, our safety." Before the officers could respond, another voice cut in. "Excuse me, officers," said a man approaching from across the street. He was older, silver-haired, with a calm, friendly face. "I think you might want to see this." He held up his phone. My doorbell cam caught the entire exchange. I was watching the live feed from my office when I heard the shouting. I've got all recorded. Karen's confident posture faltered for the first time. "I'd be happy to email the footage," the neighbor continued, "including the part where Mrs. Wellington used, well, some unfortunate language before you arrived." "What sort of language?" the younger officer asked. The neighbor hesitated, glancing at me. She said, and I quote, "We don't need his kind dragging down our property values," and added that she would personally make sure he was removed from the neighborhood one way or another. There were other terms, but I'd rather not repeat them. Karen turned pale. "That's completely out of context. I was simply expressing concern about maintaining our community standards." The older officer turned back to me. "Mr. Chun, your documentation appears to be in perfect order. I apologize for the inconvenience." He handed my license and registration back with a respectful nod. "You're free to continue moving into your new home." Then he turned to Karen. His tone had shifted, firm, no longer polite. "Mrs. Wellington, may I have a word with you? In private." As they stepped away, I watched Karen's hands begin to flail in frantic gestures, her voice low but heated. Meanwhile, the younger officer remained nearby, offering a second apology. "I'm sorry about all this, sir. We were just responding to the call." "No problem, officer," I said. "You're just doing your job." Across the cul-de-sac, more neighbors had gathered, but now the glances were no longer directed at me. They were pointed at Karen, disapproving, even embarrassed. The tide had shifted. A few minutes later, I saw the senior officer flip open his notepad. The officer flipped open his notepad and began writing. Before he could finish, Karen's voice spiked several octaves. "You cannot be serious. I was performing my civic duty. I'm the president of the HOA." What happened next stunned the entire cul-de-sac into silence. The senior officer calmly tucked his pen away and looked directly at her. "Karen Wellington," he said evenly, "you are being placed under arrest for filing a false police report and for verbal harassment with discriminatory intent. Both are misdemeanors in this state." Karen froze, her jaw slack with disbelief. "This is outrageous," she screeched as the officer gently but firmly turned her toward the patrol car. "I was protecting our community. This is reverse discrimination. I'll have your badge for this." Her voice grew shrill as the gravity of the moment set in. "I didn't mean anything by it. I was just being cautious. You can't arrest someone for being careful." The neighbors stood rooted to the sidewalk, watching the scene unfold in stunned silence. Karen Wellington, who had spent years terrorizing the community with citations for mailbox colors and lawn lengths, was being loaded into a police cruiser, protesting all the way. Just before the door closed, she shouted, "This is a misunderstanding. Call my attorney." The cruiser pulled away, leaving behind a cul-de-sac of shocked but quietly satisfied witnesses. A week later, I received an official letter from the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association. It informed me that Karen had been immediately suspended from her position pending an emergency board meeting. The outcome? A unanimous vote, 27-0, to remove her permanently. The letter was curt and bureaucratic, but the message was clear. The neighborhood was done with Karen, and the fallout didn't end there. According to local gossip, and it spread fast in Oakwood Estates, her real estate firm placed her on administrative leave after multiple clients requested other agents. Word had gotten around. Fast. About a week later, I spotted her at the local grocery store. She was standing in the produce aisle, holding a bag of lemons. The moment she saw me, her entire posture collapsed inward, her usual imperious stance gone. She avoided my gaze, flushed crimson, abandoned her cart, and made a beeline for the exit. She didn't look back. The self-proclaimed guardian of the neighborhood had fallen, not through revenge or violence, but through the simplest of consequences, accountability. And by the look on her face as she fled the store, it was clear Karen Wellington still couldn't believe her power had vanished so completely.